What I want to talk to you about today is your legacy. We are all building a legacy. What is yours? What will yours be? Most of us here, don't take offense to this, most of us here are old, we're not dead, not yet. So we've had a whole life to build a legacy. I'm going to mention 5 people's names, and I want you to take 10, 15 seconds and think about their legacy, okay? I'll just mention the name, and something is going to come to mind. Are you ready? Here's the first one. Mother Teresa. Adolf Hitler. Jezebel. George Washington. And the last one, you. You could very well say, and I believe this, we are writing a book about ourselves by what we do in our life. If you would, please turn to Proverbs 25. Proverbs 25. And we'll start in verse 11 and go to verse 13. Proverbs 25. What legacy are you building? What legacy am I building? Proverbs 25, verse 11, like golden apples in silver settings. By the way, I'll be reading all of these from God's Word translation. It's going to be probably a little bit different than what yours says. Verse 11, like golden apples in silver settings, so is a word spoken at the right time. Like a gold ring in a fine gold ornament, so is constructive criticism to the ear of one who listens. Like the coolness of snow on a harvest day, so is the trustworthy messenger to those who send him. He refreshes his masters. What is that person doing? If you were to bring it down to one word, what do you think that person is doing? They are encouraging, aren't they? They are encouraging. Remember, whether we even think about it or not, as we're going through our lives, we're building a legacy. What will that legacy be? They are encouraging. By their words, they are encouraging. They're not tearing down, they are encouraging. If you would, turn back to Proverbs chapter 10. And by the way, Mr. Ball, if you happen to figure that out, you can just let me know. Otherwise, don't worry about that. That's fine. Proverbs chapter 10, and let's look at verse 20. Proverbs 10, and we'll look at 20 and 21. Proverbs 10, verse 20. The tongue of a righteous person is pure silver. The hearts of wicked people are worthless. 21. The lips of a righteous person feed many. I wonder what that means, feeds many. I'll tell you what I think it means. I think it means spiritually encourages people. But the second half of chapter verse 21 says, so is wisdom to a person who has understanding. No, I'm sorry, I skipped the wrong one there. Go back to the right verse there. 21. But stubborn fools die because they have no sense. So it's talking about always being positive, always having the right thing to say to people, isn't it? You're building your legacy. You're building your legacy. Why don't we look at Proverbs chapter 15? Proverbs chapter 15. And we'll read verses 1 through 4. Proverbs 15, verses 1 through 4. A gentle answer turns away rage, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Which one of those two is the more desirable to do? Which one of those? Verse 2, the tongues of wise people give good expression to knowledge, but the mouths of fools pour out a flood of stupidity. Boy, don't we know that. How many times have I, and I'm not going to say you, how many times have I said things that I wish I had not said? I can't count that many. But we're building a legacy of good works when we are being positive with people, not cutting them down, building them up, helping them understand. And sometimes we don't even have to talk at all, do we? Sometimes we're sitting there with the people. Talking sometimes is not the answer. Probably more times than we could think, listening is the answer. Let's go on to Proverbs 15 and verse 3. The eyes of the Lord are everywhere. They watch evil people and good people. So obviously God knows what's going on. We're not getting anything past him. But look at verse 4. A soothing tongue is a tree of life, but a deceitful tongue breaks the spirit. Remember, regardless of what we say, regardless of what we do, we're building a legacy. And that legacy, in this case, we're building a legacy for the honor of God, aren't we? Look at verse 7 of that same chapter. Chapter 15 and verse 7. The lips of wise people spread knowledge, but a foolish attitude does not. So what it's saying is always, always be kind. Say a positive word. Sometimes, like I said, sometimes we don't say anything. We're just there for a person to psychologically lean on, aren't we? But you're there and you're helping. Look at Proverbs chapter 16 and verse 23. Proverbs 16 and verse 23. A wise person's heart controls his speech, and what he says helps others to learn. Isn't that great? We're continuing to build that legacy. Remember those people whose names I mentioned a few minutes ago? Their legacy is what you know them by. And I'm sure that I can tell you which names I said when you thought of a bad legacy. But also remember that each one of us, we are building a legacy as well. If you would turn to Proverbs chapter 11. Proverbs 11. And let's look at verse 9. Proverbs 11 and verse 9. Proverbs 11 and verse 9. With his talk, a godless person can ruin his neighbor, but righteous people are rescued by knowledge. What knowledge? God's knowledge. The knowledge of God's ways, what is right and what is wrong. This may be the time, sometimes as I say, that we don't say anything at all, but we're there. We're supporting. Think back of you in your life, if you will, and think about the people who may have just said one sentence to you. Or maybe they didn't say anything at all, but they were there to support you. How wonderful is that? What kind of example is that? Isn't that a great example? Let me encourage you on something, brethren. Don't pass up an opportunity to encourage and lift up your family, a church member, or a complete stranger. What about the person that we drive by that's changing a flat tire? Some of us can't do that, but some can. Some can't assist. What about the person who's having a bad day and your one positive comment will make their day great? Make it wonderful. Think about that. Remember that I don't care how old you are, you're writing a book, you're building a legacy. Think about that. Brethren, if you would, please turn to Matthew 22. Matthew 22. Talking about the two great commandments. Matthew 22. And let's look at verse 36. Teacher, which commandment is the greatest in Moses' teachings? In verse 37, Jesus answered him, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and most important commandment. The second is like unto it. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. All, not part, all of Moses' teachings and the prophets depend on these two commandments. Some of you know that I have the opportunity to work in Ambassador College for a long time, 27 years. And I'm going to give you my impression of something. It's not gospel, it's just my impression of something. I believe that all those years when I saw that we did a bang-up job of doing the first commandment. Now let me give an example. There were several years where I was driving the trash truck over there. And right before Passover, right before the days of unleavened bread, when I'd go pick up all the trash, we're going to get all the unleavened bread out of our house, and that represents sin. When I was going to pick that trash up, and I took it up to the hill where we used to dump the trash, we would take the big truck, open the back, dump that trash, and we had a fire truck that was a field fire truck, about 300 gallons. We took that fire truck and we hosed down that trash truck. Why? Well, of course, to get all the unleavened bread out. Do you think we may have missed the point there? I do. Because what I saw, we didn't do a great job of the second commandment, loving your neighbor. I think we're correcting that. That's not an indictment against anybody, but it's something I felt like that I saw. Remember, we're building a legacy. Turn to, if you would, to Proverbs chapter 20. Proverbs chapter 20. Proverbs chapter 20. And we'll look at verse 15. Proverbs 20. And we'll look at verse 15. Proverbs 20 and verse 15. There are gold and plenty of jewels, but the lips of knowledge are precious gems. You have that, brethren. You have that knowledge. When you dispense that knowledge, when you dispense that encouragement to other people, they do as well. You are building your positive legacy. I'd like to read to you 5 powerful short statements. The first one, I am sorry. The second one, I forgive you. The third one, please forgive me. The fourth one, thank you. The fifth one, I love you. How powerful are those? When it's said with conviction, when it's said with honesty, when it's said with truth. How powerful are those? If you would, brethren, turn to Proverbs chapter 12. Proverbs 12, and we'll look at verse 18. Proverbs 12, we look at verse 18. Careless words stab like a sword, but the words of wise people bring healing. Think about the power that we have. Think about the power that we have by saying something positive. You know, the Bible has a lot of bad things to say about the tongue, but the tongue can be used for encouragement. It's very powerful that way as well. If you speak to encourage, we are writing a chapter in our own book. We are doing good works. If you think back to Revelation chapter 20, it talks about the books being opened. Could it be possible that Christ and God are opening the books that you wrote? Is it possible that Christ and God is opening the book that I wrote? How did I write a book? By my works. Good or bad, by my works. Go to James chapter 3. James chapter 3. James chapter 3. I know that's in my Bible. James 3. And let's start reading in verse 1. I'd like to read through verse 18, starting in chapter 1. Brothers and sisters, not many of you should become teachers. You know that we who teach will be judged more severely. All of us make a lot of mistakes. If someone doesn't make any mistakes when he speaks, he would be perfect. He would be able to control everything he does. We put bits in the mouths of horses to make them obey us, and we have control over everything they do. The same thing is true for ships. They are very big and are driven by strong winds. Yet, by using small rudders, pilots steer ships wherever they want them to go. Verse 5. In the same way, the tongue is a small part of the body, but it can brag about doing important things. Oh, can it? Can it? A large forest can be set on fire by a little flame. The tongue is that kind of flame. It is a world of evil among the parts of our bodies, and it completely contaminates our bodies. The tongue sets our lives on fire and is itself set on fire from hell. People have tamed all kinds of animals, birds, reptiles, and sea creatures, yet no one can tame the tongue. It is an uncontrollable evil filled with deadly poison. With our tongues we praise our Lord and Father, yet with the same tongues we curse people who were created in the likeness of God. Praise and curses come from the same mouth. My brothers and sisters, this should not happen. Do clean and unpolluted water flow out of the same spring? My brothers and sisters, can a fig tree produce olives? Can a grapevine produce figs? In the same way, a pool of salt water can't produce fresh water. Verse 13. Do any of you have wisdom and insight? Show this by living the right way with the humility that comes from wisdom. But if you are bitterly jealous and filled with self-centered ambition, don't brag. Don't say that you are wise when it isn't true. That kind of wisdom doesn't come from above. It belongs to this world. It is self-centered and demonic. Wherever there is jealousy and rivalry, there is disorder in every kind of evil. Verse 17, however, and thank God for that word, however, the wisdom that comes from above is first of all pure. Then it is peaceful, gentle, obedient, filled with mercy and good deeds. And good deeds. Impartial and sincere. A harvest that has God's approval comes from the peace planted by peacemakers. Think about that, brethren. Think about that. Remember that as we are growing older, we're building a legacy. We have a legacy from 20 years old, 30, 40, 50. When your name is mentioned, when my name is mentioned, people think of that legacy. We're not doing this for people's sake. We're doing this because God intends us to do so. Isn't that correct? If you would turn to Matthew chapter 16. Matthew chapter 16, please. And we'll go to verse 27. Matthew 16, and let's look at verse 27. Matthew 16, verse 27. The Son of Man will come with his angel in his Father's glory. Then he will pay back each person based on what? He will pay back each person based on what that person has done, good or bad. Your legacy. You're building your legacy. This is not entering the kingdom by works. I'm not talking about that at all. Turn back just a few pages to Matthew 12, Matthew 12, and let's look at verse number 36. Matthew 12, 36. This is pretty strong. It's pretty tough, but it's also true. Verse 36, I can guarantee that on Judgment Day, people will have to give an account of every careless word they say. All of us. All of us. By your words, you will be declared innocent, or by your words, you will be declared guilty. It says it. It says it. Brethren, I started this sermon talking about being old. I hope I've got a few more years, but I have been thinking about my life. I don't know where it went. It's gone. It's gone. I think the richest person in the world, the one thing they cannot buy back is time. It's gone. But we still have time to add chapters to our book, the book that you and I are writing. And that book is going to be based on what we are accomplishing in life. What are we doing? The good works we are doing, and sometimes the bad works, unfortunately. We're building a legacy. I'd like to read to you in closing a little story about old age, and it's entitled, And Then It's Winter. and then it's winter. And it's winter before we know it. You know, time has a way of moving quickly and catching you unaware of the passing years. It seems just yesterday that I was young, just married and embarked on my new life with my mate. And yet, in a way, it seems like eons ago. And I wonder where all those years went. I know that I lived them all. And I have glimpses of how it was back then and of all my hopes and dreams, like Mr. McIver was talking about. But here it is, the winter of my life, and it catches me by surprise. How did I get here so fast? Well, I've asked myself that a lot of times. Where did the years go? And where did my babies go? And where did my youth go? I remember well seeing older people through the years and thinking that those older people were years away from me, and that winter was so far off that I could not fathom it or imagine fully what it would be like. But here it is. My friends are retired and really getting gray. They move slower, and I see an older person now. Lots are in better shape than me, but I see the great change. Not like the ones I remember who were young and vibrant, but like me. Their age is beginning to show, and we are now those older folks that we used to see and never thought we'd be. Each day now, I find that just getting a shower is a real target for the day. And taking a nap is not a treat anymore, it's mandatory. Because if I don't, on my own free will, I just fall asleep where I sit. And so now I enter into this new season of my life unprepared for all the aches and pains and the loss of strength and the ability to go and do things that I wish I had done, but never did. But at least I know that though the winter has come, and I'm not sure how long it will last, this I know, that when it's over, it's over. We know that's not true, don't we? We know it because we're building a legacy for a new spiritual life, aren't we? There are things I wish I hadn't done. Amen. Things I should have done, but indeed there are many things I'm happy to have done. It's all in a lifetime. So, if you're not in your winter yet, let me remind you that it will be here faster than you think. So, whatever you would like to accomplish in your life, please do so quickly. Don't put things off too long. Life goes by quickly. So do what you can today, as you can never be sure whether this is your winter or not. You have no promise that you will see all the seasons of your life. We don't. So live for good today and say all the things that you want your loved ones to remember. I'd like to repeat that. So live for good today and say all the things that you want your loved ones to remember. And hope that they appreciate and love you for all the things that you have done for them in all the years past. Life is a gift to us. The way you live your life is your gift to those who come after. Make it a fantastic one. Live it well. Enjoy today. Do something fun. Be happy. Be thankful. With God's help, enjoy today because He will be waiting for you. God's blessings to all the dear friends that have filled my winters with so much happiness and memories. Brother, I encourage you, no one knows how much time we have left. I encourage you to build your legacy. Carpe diem. Build your legacy. Build a positive legacy. Continue to write your book. And most importantly, seize the day.